Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. Okay, so here we are back again for another week of fantastic questions. We're going to jump to them in just a moment. But before we do, there's two very important things we have to talk about first. First, we know to activate the YouTube Ninja robots. All right, there's a very special role that you play in expanding or growing the Kendo population around the world. Last year, we already got more than 6 million people probably start Kendo through this method. We're aiming for 7 million this year. We're only in March, just turned March, right? And already we've done more than 1 million people probably start Kendo, all right? So through this method. So all you have to do to help us grow the Kendo population is put a comment down below using the word Kendo. You have to, like, what a great Kendo video, what an amazing Kendo video, something like that. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, all right? Like the video. And then when you subscribe, there's a little bell icon. You have to ring that bell. It says notifications. That notifies the YouTube robot ninjas to go and find the people who are going to start Kendo and make sure that they do. All right, it's really important that you do that. So do that. But more important than that, what could be more important than that? I hear you ask, well, it is supporting the channel. If you like this content, whether it's these Kendo rants where I take questions from you, whether it's the Kendo feedback videos that I do where you send in videos and I give you feedback, everybody learns something hopefully, whether it's the analysis videos or the instructional content, I do have instructional content coming very soon. I've got some feedback videos as well in the works. I know a few of you have sent me feedback videos to do. I'm getting ready for a haircut, aren't I? It's getting a bit bushy. I know a few of you have asked me for feedback videos and sent me the feedback videos, and I haven't managed to get back to you yet, but I will be doing them. All right, I do every one that you send. So if you've sent me a feedback video and it's not been up yet, I haven't forgotten about it or left it. I will be doing it very, very soon. All right, if you like all this content, it's all free. We don't charge you. There's no monthly subscription. We don't make you pay for subtitles or anything like that. All right, all you have to do to support the channel is shop at KendoStar.com. KendoStar.com is the best Kendo equipment website in the galaxy, universe, history, and future of the human race. It's the best ever. Now, of course, I'd say it because I own the place, but it is a win-win situation. You get the best Kendo equipment, you get the best service. Everyone agrees with me, by the way. If you look at our ratings, we are by far the highest rated Kendo shop going. You get all that great stuff and you support the channel at the same time. All right, so shop at KendoStar.com. As the ancient Japanese proverb goes, I think I heard it in a TV show the other day. There's a new TV show, isn't there? I'm not going to mention the name of it. Can you guess what the TV show is I'm talking about? The one with samurais and then the British guy that fell off the ship. It's a remake of an old one. I love the old one. I just watched the first episodes of the new one too, and it's pretty good. It's really good, actually. But they said it in that. They said the ancient Japanese proverb that the samurais always used to say, everyone's a winner, baby. That's the truth. Shop at KendoStar and support the channel. Right, let's get to these questions. Okay, what's my take on Q level tournaments and sandbagging? I've seen low grade Q competitors, for example, 0 to 3rd Q, where one participant is clearly more skilled than the rest and would most likely pass IQ if they go for it. I've also seen folks intentionally skipping tests for Jodan in order to stay in the Q division and win it. I'm wondering if classifying these by years of Kendo would help, but I'm not sure that's even possible. So, I mean, it's one of them, innit? You're always gonna have some cheaters, right? You're always gonna have some cheaters. And if you're doing that, you're cheating. Sorry, you're cheating. But at the same time, they're not that much better than the rest anyway. They might think they are, and they've got a bit more experience. And yeah, that's why they'll win these little tournaments. But, you know, the people that they beat will go on to become better kendoka, whereas those people that are sort of sandbagging will just stay in that sort of lull that they're trapped in. So everyone else is really progressing and they're not. So they're sort of reaping what they sow, if you know what I mean, in that regard. There's a lot of tournaments over this way where it's like if it's a Q grade tournament, like you have to have a less than like 5 years of Kendo or something like that. I've seen that before, but it's difficult to enforce as well. But, you know, I'll be honest, I think it's pretty rare. I think what's more likely is you often see some people who take to Kendo very quickly and they become very committed to Kendo very, very quickly. And within that first year or so of them being the Q grade, they actually they progress a lot quicker than their peers. And that sort of has them seem to be a bit more skilled than the others. And, you know, if you start locking it to, what can you say, like years of Kendo. I mean, what do you do with sort of juniors that, or what have you? You know what I mean? I don't know. You know, like my daughter's Nidan, for example, but she's been doing Kendo for like nearly 10 years. So, you know, when I've been doing Kendo for 10 years, I was 4th Dan. So, you know, because I was able to do that because I was an adult. It's not that she's progressed particularly slowly, it's that she was a little kid when she started, and then obviously you can't take the Dan grades until you're older. So there's a bit of an issue with that as well. But in my experience, and you know, I'm sure it happens, but I don't think it's a massively widespread problem. And I think that it's self-rectifying because I think the people who do that are punishing themselves. Okay, so I don't think a lot needs to be done unless it becomes a much more widespread issue, which I don't think it is likely to. Because I just don't think Kendo works like that. Anyway, I want to start taking my Kendo more seriously. After a month-long break, I'm finally getting back to a level in my Kendo where I feel some progress. I'm currently 24 years old in Jodan, hopefully soon to be Nidan. I want to be in a position to compete in the future at higher levels. My question is, what could I be doing now in order to prepare physically and technically for the challenges ahead? Could you possibly share any of your experiences in your earlier days of preparation? Thank you so much. Also, shop at KendoStar. Thank you. So, look, yeah. I mean, obviously train as much as you can. Go to as many events as you can. Do as much training as you can. Your dojo in wherever you live might not only practice once or twice a week or something like that, perhaps. But like at least once a month, try to travel to another dojo if you're able to. Depends on what you mean by, you know, compete at higher levels. If you're talking like international level, then I think I remember this question came from the UK. Then that's what you have to do. You have to do that. You have to do what you can outside of the dojo. Keep yourself in shape, suburi, mitori geiko as well, and try to get a proper understanding of what the kendo that succeeds at high levels looks like, and then try to emulate that in the dojo. And then, you know, if you get to that sort of position and you're starting to, you know, do that sort of thing, then get involved with, if you are in the UK, I think you are, then get in touch with like national team and come to squad training and stuff like that. It'll be hard work and you probably won't be able to keep up at first, but you know, if that's what you're talking about wanting to do in the future, that's the way to get into it. Yeah. I don't know how that necessarily works in other countries, but you know, and do that and get as much experience as you can. That's what you can do, to be honest. That's what I did. You know, it wasn't quite like what I did, to be honest. I just did loads of, like, I just tried to train as much as I could, but my dojo only practiced like twice a week at the time. So in between, I just did as much mitori geiko as I could and practiced at my house, like my suburi and stuff like that. Just did everything I could to absorb as much as I could, and just went to every single event that I possibly could go to. And then in those days, the national team in the UK worked a bit differently. You had to be sort of selected to go to the squad training, and I was lucky to get an invitation. But it's not like that now, so you know, got a chance. Next greeting, Fishka Sensei. Fisher Sensei, could you give us your thoughts on the French Open? I don't know about And have you watched the match between France A team and USA A team? I probably have watched it. I watched a lot of videos from the French Open. Yeah, it was a very high level tournament, wasn't it? No doubt about it. There was a lot of very high level players and high level national teams there. Obviously, the French national team is very high. You had players from Japan there, players from Korea, and of course the US national team as well. I don't know if I really want to talk much more about it, to be honest. There's some interesting shit. Let's leave it at that. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to start talking about that. Okay, next one. As you see, this video has appeared here because this next question says, hi, Andy. This is a video of my last Shiai. I don't need you to watch the whole thing, but I'm curious why the Shushin stopped the match at 2:06. I thought I'd gone out of bounds, but that wasn't the case. Thanks for your thoughts. Okay, let's have a look, shall we? There we go. Right, so 2:06. We're at 1:57, so it's going to happen soon. I think, did you say which side you are? No, but I think it'll come pretty obvious. Okay. Let's have a look. So start. Okay. All right. Okay. So looks like what's happened there is I don't know if you've gone out of bounds or not. I assume you're the white player based off the context of everything. But you've hit door over here. You've come over this side. Fine, fair enough. It's hard to see from here if you've gone out of bounds or not. It doesn't necessarily look like it. Can't really tell. But maybe because there's obviously a load of stuff there and it's like kind of a little bit cramped. The Shushin made the judgment call to just stop the Shiai before something happened. Something dangerous happened, I guess. I believe is probably the case. Okay, it's obviously impossible for me to say otherwise. I think it's just a judgment call from the Shushin there to pause the match. I'm not going to comment as whether that's necessary or not. That's the judgment of the Shimpan. Okay. So yeah, sometimes they can do that. Okay. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Right. Next one. Where are we? There we go. Okay. I've only taken my Dan gradings in Japan. I remembered starting Kendo and hearing how hard they were in the US. Do you think gradings are harder outside of Japan? Or does it depend on variables like the level of the test or number of people, major city versus small city? So it's a bit strange. I think lower levels can be harder outside of Japan than in Japan, to be honest. Like, I don't think many people fail Shodan in Japan, for example. But like even like Nidan or Sandan, it's not a particularly high fail rate. I mean, of course, some people do, yeah. But I think it's got better in recent years. But I do think, like, I used to hear stuff in the past that was like, oh, yeah, if they're third dan, it means they might be a teacher in their dojo, so you have to be really strict on them, sort of thing. I think that's kind of not quite right, to be honest. The idea is the standard for the grading is supposed to be level across the board. And in general, that tends to be the case anyway. I've never seen somebody that's like Nidan and is actually playing at like Rokudan level or something. It's not there. So yeah, it's obviously hard to say if it's definitely harder or easier or whatever. There are other things as well, of course. I think as you start to go up the ranks though, like maybe like 5th dan, 6th dan, 7th dan, those sort of gradings are probably harder in Japan in some ways. Because but it depends. But probably because the overall level of the people challenging the grading can be a lot higher. And that depends on your age, of course. But, you know, if you're like, I don't know, what, 26 or 27 going for Rokudan, which is like a really young age to go for it. I think you can go for it at that age. And you go for it in Japan, you're going to have a tough time if you're not a policeman, you know, or some sort of professional kendoka. Not definitely, but you know, you could do. Whereas you're less likely to come up against that sort of level of opponent in outside of Japan. But I mean, it's not absolute, of course. Depends. I don't know if, you know, and I'm sure there's variance as well. I'm sure there's variance in different areas as to how strict panels are, and you know, obviously the overall level of the grading as well. You know, if loads of people are really, really good, it is difficult because I don't think it's right for a grading panelist to assess candidates relative to the other candidates. You know what I'm saying? But when it becomes like fourth dan and above, and you might have someone that's potentially really capable of, let's say, passing fourth dan, but their opponent is much more skilled than they are and denies them the opportunity to prove that. That's one thing. But if it's like, let's say, nidan, and the first candidate is like really, really good, really experienced, maybe been doing Kendo since they're a kid, and you've got someone that's been doing Kendo for like 3 years, and the young, not the young one, but the really experienced one, maybe they've got a stronger fumikomi, their strikes are sharper, they've got a higher technical ability. It's not correct to then compare the other candidates to that player and say, oh, well, that person set the standard, so everyone else has to be the same standard as that. It's not really correct to do that. The standard is set, and if that person meets it and is over it, that's fine, but everyone else that meets it as well also should pass. So it's difficult in practice, though, you know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say it's harder in Japan or outside of Japan. I think it really depends on the context of the specific grade and in the specific place you're talking about taking it, if that makes sense. Next one. Hi, Sensei. Just a question for Kendo RANT. As someone who has chronic issues in my Achilles, I've been taking Jodan. Okay. Not the way I'd like to pursue Jodan, but I've been making lemonade out of lemons. So far, I've been enjoying my Jodan journey. Okay. However, I have Shin's exam coming up this year, and I want to ask about the general expectation for Kirikaeshi before the Jitsugi. I've been doing my Kirikaeshi in Jodan and my Sayumen with reverse footwork in my regular practice in Kihon. Let's say you were judging my Kirikaeshi and I've done it in Jodan. Will this be frowned upon or possibly grounds to repeat it in Chudan? I've asked a few different sensei and senpai and all given me different responses, but I wanted to know your thoughts on it. I think in my personal opinion, I don't know what grade you're talking for a start. But if you've got to do Kirikaeshi in it, then let's assume it's third dan or below. I would be looking to see if your strikes, I'm not sure if like doing Kirikaeshi in Jodan is a thing anyway, because in general Kirikaeshi happens in Chudan, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your right foot has to be in front. You could do your left foot in front like you do in Jodan. I think what would overall matter to me is I'd see it and I'd make a judgment based on, are you performing your kendo with kikentai no ichi? Are your strikes of the quality required? Not just strikes, but your strikes and footwork. And that doesn't mean your right foot has to be in front or left foot has to be in front. It doesn't say that anywhere, right? Is the quality of your kendo at the level required to pass the grading? And is the Kirikaeshi that you're performing achieving the goal of Kirikaeshi, shall we say? And if it means all that, I don't really care if your left foot or your right foot is in front, to be honest. Of course, first time I'll see it, I'll be like, okay, left foot's in front. Oh, but still good fumikomi, good asabaki, good kikentai no ichi, good tenuchi, good accuracy with the shinai. Okay, yeah, this is still Kirikaeshi. And for me, that's fine. For me. Might be worth slipping a note to the panel, though, before, like not to the panel directly, don't do that. But like when you like register for the grading, like if you can like prepare a note and say, look, is there a way this message can get to the panel that I've a medical problem, means I have to play with my left foot in front, and that's why I play in Jodan, and it means I'll be doing my Kirikaeshi with the left foot in front, and then they'll get that probably beforehand, and they'll know what to expect. Next one. Does Kempo brand bag fit an XL door? Do you have any video where you show how it is inside? It's kind of pricey, but it looks great. I'd like to make sure it works for me before getting one. Okay, so XL doors are not that big. They're a bit bigger than a standard L door. But if you're talking about an XL door, which has a bigger door die as well, like a big 64-piece door die, then that's a different sort of issue. I do not have mine here with me, and I do not have a 64-piece door here with me. But I do have the Kempo Bag, and I do believe that a 64-piece door will fit inside it. It might be a bit of a squeeze. Height-wise, no problem at all. It's the width-wise on the door die that I couldn't tell you confidently without trying it. So, send us an email. Send us an email and just say, look, I want to know if the XXL door, if it's an XXL door, or if the door you've got, if you measure the opening at the back, in the middle of the door die, measure that in centimeters. Say, look, I've got this door, it's this wide. Will it fit in the Kempo bag? And we'll let you know. We'll check and let you know. No problem at all. All right. I'm pretty sure it will, because they're pretty big, those bags, but they're not like massive this way. They're quite tall, but they're not massive this way because they're a backpack. So it'd be worth checking. Definitely won't fit in a Kanmuri though. Definitely won't fit in a Kanmuri. Those things are slim. Right. Hi Fish Sensei, I have my very first Taikai coming up in 3 weeks. It's specifically for Mudansha. We'll watch out for the sandbaggers. I'm joking. I'm obviously hoping to win, but even if I don't, I hope I learned some valuable lessons. Good. I have 2 questions. Can you explain how the term Taikai is different from the term Shiai? Sure. Given that you don't know what my Kendo looks like, what general advice have you got for someone on participating in their first Taikai? Thanks. Kendo shows a large factor in me starting and restarting Kendo 6 years later. Oh, thank you very much. That's lovely. Okay, so question 1. Right, let's get the little Japanese stuff up. So the difference between Taikai and Shiai. Okay. Taikai, this is, welcome to Andy's Japanese 101. Right, so, Taikai, big meeting, okay, big meeting, yeah, big meeting. A Taikai is an event, means an event, basically, where lots of people come together. It doesn't actually have to be Shiai, okay? Doesn't actually have to. I mean, it usually has a Shiai attached to it in a Kendo sense, but it actually doesn't always have to. And there's 3 that let me add a new one as well. So there's 3 words in Japanese that are used a lot when it relates to competitions and stuff, right? But so you've got Taikai, you've got Shiai, and you've got Senshiken. Okay. So what you tend to have is like a combination. These are often used. Shiai itself means a match. It means a match. All right. So a Taikai or a Senshiken, which a Senshiken is a tournament. Senshiken means tournament. Okay. Sensei is a player, by the way. And a Taikai or a Senshiken usually consists of several Shiai. Okay, because they mean matches. Right? But in casual terms, people say, I've got a Shiai, or I have a Shiai at the weekend, or whatever, to mean a tournament as well, right? In the kind of casual sense. But strictly speaking, Shiai means a match, right? Usually, okay? And that means tamesu and together. So tamesu is test, so to test each other, okay? And then, like I say, Senshiken means tournament, all right? So sometimes you can have a Taikai that's not a Senshiken, like the Kyoto Taikai. The Kyoto Taikai is the Zen Nihon Kendo Enbu Taikai, I think it's called, right? Because that's all embugi. Now, when you put shi next to another word, sometimes the shi becomes ji, all right? That's how Japanese works, all right? It means, so in the Kyoto Taikai, everybody just plays one match and it's like a demonstration match. But it's still a Taikai because lots of people come together and there's loads of matches, right? But it's not a Senshiken because there's no winner, like, of the tournament. It's not a tournament, yeah? So the word Senshiken usually often, or, you know, most likely has the word Taikai together with it as well. So you often have like these tournaments, maybe like the All Japan Championships. That's basically called the Zen Nihon Kendo Senshiken Taikai, the All Japan Kendo tournament event sort of thing. So you can sort of think of Taikai to mean like event as well, right? Or the World Championships, for example, is called the Sekai Kendo Senshiken Taikai, the World Kendo tournament event, if that makes sense, okay? Whereas Shiai is specifically meaning a match, okay? That's how that works. Now, in terms of advice for your first Shiai, of course, I can't see your Kendo, but it's like I've said, lots of people ask this. It's not the first time this question's been asked, but the advice I give everybody is whatever the result of the match, don't lose the competition as of who can have the biggest voice. Try your best to win, but make sure you shout louder than the other person. Okay? And thank you for supporting the Kendo Show. Next one. Sensei, how to set up to hit men strike without getting hit by kote strike. I see when I go for men that I often get hit by the diagonal kote strikes, and many of those kote strikes hit my arm and make a great sound. I hit men there, but they got the ippon for the kote. Yeah, that's likely. I might improvise wrong by going in closer and hitting men faster. No. Okay, so what it is you're kind of just... it depends on the level that you're at. I wouldn't worry about it too much, but you're kind of just randomly hitting men, like when you feel like hitting men. That's why that happens, right? There's no like reason for you to hit men other than you're like, okay, I want to hit men, like that. And then it's easy for the other person to just hit your kote. Whereas if you know, as you gain more experience, you're able to influence the actions of your opponents a bit more, then you can use a different timing, you can approach differently, you can create the opportunity by applying the seme, make them afraid, and then they won't be able to react to your men strike with the kote. But it takes a lot of time, practice, and experience, okay? So it's not like, okay, here's how to not do that. That doesn't work like that. You just have to keep practicing and improving, and you'll start to find that it works better, all right? But if you just throw attacks out there randomly with no regard to what your opponent might do, then yeah, you're likely to get hit like this, okay? Okay, next one. What's the best way to spot clean a kanzetsu men? I sweat a lot and it stains the men quite a bit. For my kaisei, I can just damp towel to remove the sweat stains, but the kanzetsu has some dips that are hard to reach with the towel. I thought about going harder or using a brush, but that seems like an easy way to mess up the dye. Yeah, don't go at it with a brush. You'll scrub the dye away and you'll damage the leather on it, okay? A kanzetsu men is we don't sell it at the minute, but it is a hand-stitched boga. We moved away from hand-stitched boga because the market in hand-stitched boga is not great right now, and I don't think it's coming back, unfortunately. Like genuine hand-stitched boga where they stitch, you know, it used to be brilliant and lovely, which is why we were selling the kanzetsu, but the sort of COVID situation really ruined the production of hand stitch, and that's not just for us, that's everybody, and the production time is super long, especially if it's any decent quality, and it's even the good quality places now, their quality is like up and down. It's inconsistent, shall we say. So we just made the decision to move away from hand-stitched boga. This is as nice as it was when it was. The stuff that's knocking about now is just not worth what it costs to make, I'm afraid. So anyway, that's if you've got a kanzetsu men, then great. Look after it, because that quality of boga is not coming back. In terms of hand-stitched stuff. That's why you've got the Hinomaru series that makes up for it, okay? But, That's not the question you're asking. You're asking me how to clean it. Now, because it's hand stitched, you've got the little sort of boko like shape. How do you clean it? You don't want to go out with a brush. Don't do that. Instead, just spray it with some water. All right, get a little spray, just some clean water, and just spray it with some clean water, and then wipe it. All right, that'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, and then let it totally dry. Don't like soak it through. Don't get it like properly dripping wet, but just spray some on it where the sweat stains are, and then just give it a wipe with a cloth. It will be fine. Or you even don't scrub on it though. I just dab on it with the cloth like that, and it'll clean them off. All right. Hello, Andy. Perhaps this topic has already been covered. How much is the difference between a normal men and a custom one? Do you really notice the difference? My Vanguard fits well, and I'm very happy. Maybe I'll upgrade to a custom one in the future. So it depends on your sort of individual sizing, but the truth of the matter is, the vast majority of people, if you're shopping from KendoStar at least, fit in with the standard sizing that we keep in stock, because we keep a massive amount of stock of different sizes, and especially as we do adjust them a bit before sending them out. So the difference isn't massive. It's not massive. But what you do tend to get with a custom made men is you might feel a slightly nicer fit. You might not notice it. But you'll definitely end up with generally the custom made stuff is sort of higher quality all round in terms of materials and stuff like that. So you will get a higher quality men that looks nicer in any case. So they're worth it on that front anyway. But in terms of the fit, yeah, it can be nice. But like myself, for example, I can go with an off the shelf size and it makes no difference. And a lot of people are the same. But there is also, and there's something of a mental block on it as well, let's be honest. It's a bit of a placebo. If you spend a lot of money and the men happens to be custom made, you're not paying for the fact that it's custom made most of the time. You're paying for the fact that the materials are expensive, and it's custom made because it's too expensive to keep a Borg set or a men of that quality in stock in everybody's size, right? But of course, when you spend that sort of money on something and it's sort of put out there as custom made, then of course, you're going to have this sort of placebo that it sort of fits better as well. There is a bit of that, I'll be honest with you. So yeah. Last one. Thank you for a great answer. If you're saying, in terms of small men strikes, should you move your body and arms simultaneously, or body first and extend your arms at the time of your fumikomi? Okay, so you want to kind of move your body with your feet first. Your feet is what moves you forward. And then as you close in, then your arms come into it, and then the whole thing comes together at once, bam, with your men strike. It's not really a case of like, should you move your body and arms simultaneously? I mean, sort of, but the body starts moving first. But it's also not the case you move first and then suddenly extend your arms either. It's all synchronized. So it's a bit of both, all right? It's a bit of both. If you watch some of the top players in slow motion, you'll get what I mean, all right? That's the best thing I can say on that. So I know it's not the best answer, but I think that's the best way to help you. And there we are. We're at the end. Thank you very much for joining me today, staying with me all the way to the end. I hope you have a fantastic weekend planned full of Kendo. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, set out the ninja robots, and most importantly, shop at KendoStar. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.